Toy Talk covers all kinds of die-cast, resin, and plastic toys. I have found lots of replicas of toys that tell the history of the world's development, past and present. Also, there are many fictitious toys on many subjects, ranging from superheroes, cartoon characters, to sci-fi characters and vehicles. For today, I want to go back into the history of construction, mining, and farming equipment. Hi, I'm Logan, the 64th Gear Jammer Skeele, and this is Toy Talk. I bring you tons of great die-cast replica reviews and relate them to the real-world machines they represent. So you should subscribe and ring the bell so that you don't miss a single video. Also, later on, I've got a cool freebie for you, so stay tuned. As you are aware, the construction, mining, and farming equipment have built the things that we use every day that we take for granted. Roads and metals are two of the most obvious. The small Bantam cranes played an important role in the development of these three industries. The modern cranes that we see operating today were patterned off of the Bantam excavator. Even the rolling bed rotator recovery vehicle I talked about in episode 88, I put a link to that video down below. The concept of the Bantam excavator was established when Vern Schield of Waverly, Iowa, designed and built a small dragline in 1942 for use in the Schield family's lime quarry. This first Bantam built was called Bantam No. 1, and it was a dragline. Schield's brother, Wilbur, joined him in assembling 9 more in a barn at the quarry. As orders came in for Bantam cranes, land and buildings were purchased in Waverly, Iowa, and all subsequent machines were produced in this plant. By 1946, 25 more machines were built and sold. A side note, the name Bantam was chosen because it represents a bird iconic to the farm, which was Schield Bantam's original target market. As the company grew, construction and mining markets opened up to the company. Moving ahead to 1946, Bantam developed the CR-35 self-propelled Bantam excavator, or more properly, the model C-35 cable excavator. The C-35 was a simple, uncomplicated machine, which was reliable in operation and easy to maintain. Moreover, it was a very affordable for the average contractor. A backhoe equipped machine costing a mere US $9,350, fully equipped. A wide range of attachments and options were available to best suit customers' needs. The C-35 was available in 4 basic configurations: backhoe, face shovel, dragline, and crane. When operating as a crane, the C-35 had a 10.5-ton rating. A major advancement in equipment came from Schield Bantam, and it made equipment way more versatile. That advancement was Schield Bantam's fast change system, which was heavily promoted by the company to set them apart from all the competitors. The system, for instance, allowed the user to change from a backhoe to a face shovel rapidly. Power for the Bantam varied from a customer's choice of a Buda, Cummins, or GM diesel, while the standard power was a 110 horsepower Chrysler 6-cylinder gasoline engine. At 2 miles per hour, the Bantam crawler could move on a construction site faster than its competitors. Schield offered 2 undercarriage layouts for their excavators. Drive to the tracks was provided by exposed roller chain and sprocket. Mechanical levers and pedals operated the machine. Literally no creature comforts were installed for the operator, with the exception of a padded seat. In the 1950s, Schield's competitors started using hydraulic cylinders to operate their machines. That spelled trouble for Schield Bantam. Schield countered and attempted to enter this new market with a machine featuring a hydraulic cylinder for bucket operation. But, as they say, too little, too late. In 1954, the Schield Bantam Company tried converting their mobile truck crane from the Army-style cab to a cab-over style. The shorter wheelbase helped maneuverability around construction sites. Between 1955 and 1956, Bantam claimed to be the world's largest producer of truck-mounted power cranes and excavators. But in 1963, Schield Bantam Company was sold to Coring. The brand name transitions to Coring Bantam. The once famous Schield Bantam name had faded into the history books. The Schield Bantam Company will always be remembered for its innovations and contributions to the construction, mining, and farming industries. Many of their innovations were adopted by their competitors. The concept of fast change of tools that was Schield's invention is used extensively by the makers of bobcats. Now, let's go on over to the rock quarry and take a look at a Schield Bantam tracked crane by SpecCast.
And this is the Bantam C-35 Crawler cranes and shovels that were made by SpecCast in die-cast metal in 1/50th scale. The first one over here is the Dragline, and you can see it has the lattice boom and then the Dragline bucket. The next one over is a Backhoe loader, and you can see that it has the backhoe. And the last one over there is a face shovel. Those are more commonly known today as front shovels. Now, all three of these machines have exactly the same cab and undercarriage. Only difference is the buckets on each one. So what I'm going to talk about is the details on one machine, and then I'll show each of the other machines and talk about the differences. And this one here is the face shovel version. It is basically the same as a front shovel today, only it uses steel cables to run instead of the hydraulics that we're using today. You can see how it has all of its threading for the steel cables. Now what they used is actual black thread for cables, and it works well. You probably could move it, but I wouldn't try. It has plenty of access right there for the drums and hold the cables, but I wouldn't worry about it. The boom does move a little bit, but not much. It rides on real metal tracks, and look how well they roll. Isn't that cool? For metal tracks, they roll extremely, extremely well. It has die-cast rollers, and then the little idlers are cast into the base. It also rotates 360 degrees just like the real one, and the other track on the other side rolls just as well as this one, so it rolls really well. It has the Bantam logo there on the side. It has a door and other details on it. Around to the back here, and you see it has the Schield Bantam written out there and the little Bantam chicken rooster logo on the side. Also access to where the engine is. Round onto this side, you get to the operator's compartment. It has the Bantam logo. It has the door that goes in, but it doesn't open, and it has another little door there for access. It has windows in it. They're hard plastic so that you can see inside the cab. And you can see it has its levers and the seat right inside, and all the levers to make the cables, drums all work. There wasn't any creature comforts in this machine. It literally was just a padded seat and then some grips on those steel levers. Not really all that great. Also here you could see the front of the shovel. Now we're going to go underneath and you can see how it has the mechanism that would rotate the tracks, and then there's an exposed sprocket and chain on each one. Well, they're just cast in, they're not really there, but they did a nice job making it look like the drive mechanism was there, and you can see how it rotates pretty well. SpecCast did a really good job molding these things in 50th scale for the construction collectors. Here you can see it has the front bucket. Now these are pretty cool. They just run up to the wall and then they pull up. You could also lower the boom and then dig a trench with them the same way, but they're not as efficient as a backhoe. The system does move, and you can see how all those strings are there. Also, to dump these, the back piece there would flop down. Now in this model it doesn't work, but on the real one that opens up, and that would be the door that dumps all of it out. Whatever you've got in the bucket, like a trap door. Up top you can see it has all of its little pulleys where all the cables ride, and the idlers so that it works. And as I said, the drums are supposed to work, but I've never tried. I really doubt it would work very well because of the size, but you can see that piece moves and the boom does move as well. Stiff legs were really cool, aka face shovels. Now let's go on and pick up the next one, which I'm going to pick up is the backhoe here. Again, the C35 cab and undercarriage is exactly the same as on the other one, but the structure that holds the backhoe is a little bit different, and the cabling is quite a bit different because it doesn't work quite the same. Now these guys, it would drop down the bucket into the ground and pull it back towards the machine. Also, these, unlike the hydraulic machines of today, where they're using hydraulic pressure to dig into the ground, these literally just use the weight of the bucket to scoop in. Really kind of primitive. It also doesn't necessarily allow for the greatest of pressure and digging or precision. They're not very precise machines, but they still do a pretty good job at digging, and they'll work right. Another thing about these, they don't have a dumping bucket like a traditional bucket on a backhoe that we know of today, but it wouldn't work as well today. However, it doesn't give you as much precise use of the bucket as the modern machines have. And that is one of the reasons these old cable machines have went by the wayside. They're still cool to watch work though if you ever get the chance. Now let's set that one down and go on and pick up the last one, which is the Dragline. Also, if you take that Dragline off, you could really take it down. Now I'll hold it up a little bit because that boom is so long. It has the lattice boom, which is holding the Dragline bucket, and you can see the Dragline. The machine, again, same tracks, same cab, and all of that are the same as the other three. And the rigging on this one for the cableways is very much like the face shovel, because this operates quite a bit like that. Now you could take that bucket off. If you see how the bucket is, it would be dropped down, slung out, dropped in the ground, and then pulled back towards the machine. That's how drag lines work. Then when they went to dump it, they would loosen the cable and just tip the bucket front down, and it dumps. The best use for drag lines is in wet, muddy, sandy, sloppy stuff where you really can't drive out in it, and dredging type work. They work great for that. They also work great for mining. There you can also see the lattice boom, and that would be the same boom that they would use on the crane, making this a 10.5 ton crane. Now let's set that out and set it aside just like the others. Isn't that really cool? That is a face shovel, a backhoe, and a drag line. SpecCast did an amazing job making these 50th scale. They also did all three of these in 1/25th scale, and they did a little bit more detail on those. So if you can find those, they're great. And that is SpecCast 1/50th scale, Bantam C-35, Dragline, Backhoe, and front shovel in 1/50th scale die-cast metal. Great die-cast collectibles for your collection.
Comment down below if you've seen one of these cable cranes in operation. If you haven't been able to see one of the old machines working, I highly recommend that you go see one at a vintage construction show. They have them all over the country where they show off how construction was done in days past. For the next best thing, get a model of one and put it on your shelf. Toys really are a great way to preserve the past. That's it for today. But before you go, I promised you a cool freebie, and here it is. I made a checklist on all of the Schield Bantam cranes that SpecCast made models of, and you can grab it with a link down below. Thanks for watching. Please make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to my channel. I'm Logan, the 64th Gear Jammer Skeele, and I'll be back with another episode of Toy Talk. Hint, it's another construction farming piece by a major innovator, so also hit that notification bell so that you don't miss it.